Ladies and gentlemen, kids of all ages, it is time for the Mattriarchy, our little show on Wednesdays where we talk about comics and stuff, man. I am joined today by a Cartoonicus who,
Stay tuned.
yeah. I intend to, but it's my show, so that doesn't really count, does it? Well, today we're going to talk about the birth of a meme. And this was something that Cartoonicus brought up to me last week. Apparently, there had been some sort of trend on Twitter. Now, I have not been on Twitter for a while. I've been doing other things. I haven't even checked my messages over there, I don't think. Hey, Flying Saucer. Long time no see. Good to see you around. Good to see you around these parts. So Cartoonicus, give us a little background, a little story about the meme as we displayed your own iteration of it.
So I simply just started seeing it online as a, few days ago, really at most, probably maybe a week ago. It's one of these art trends. They tend to go around Instagram and Twitter and whatnot. And once it becomes a thing, then everybody artist realizes they can get clout by jumping on the bandwagon, as it were, riding the coattails of it. And so we turns out that if you don't know what this is, if you've never seen it before, then I will bring up the original image here. This here, make sure it's good up. So yeah, this is an original Archie comic image that everybody just started basically creating their own version of. And now I've never seen Chainsaw Man, but Rhys, you said you have, so you can get this apparently.
The entire plot of Chainsaw. Yes.
You'll have to explain that one.
Especially the first storyline. Okay, so Chainsaw Man is, in essence, it's a story about growing up, right? And so Denji is a cast-off orphan kid who makes a living at first by being an illicit underground devil hunter, and ends up merging with a demon dog that is his sort of like his pet, that is the entity of the Chainsaw Man, the Chainsaw Devil.
Mm-hmm.
And his largest dream in life is to have a home, but his second greatest dream in life is to have sex. And if he could figure out how to do both of them at the same time, that'd be great. And so so the first part of the story, he spends the entire time thirsty over this older woman, and he's supposed to be like a 16-year-old kid. So
gotcha.
So that's the that's how
I figured it was going to be something like that.
Yeah.
So anyway, not sure if this came first, but somewhere along the line, this Russian artist. Oh, wait a minute, that is not. Where was it? This is not showing me what it was before. That's interesting. Hold on. Well, okay, I'm not sure how it happened, but I think it was this one that happened first, where this is not actually the artist of Dogman. This is someone else who used the characters as a reference. And then everybody and their mother started recreating the same concept over and over and over and over again, with every possible group of characters. I especially loved this one.
Oh, which one?
You got it. Oh, wait. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't switch over.
Oh, I see. You're on a different tab there.
Sorry.
Okay.
Let me start over again. Okay, are we streaming that now? Okay, so you notice there's going to be a lot of famous characters who are being referenced here. Where is it? Gosh, I've got way too many tabs up here. Right, these are all popular, famous characters. A lot of anime characters. I think you guys all know this one. That's what is it called? Hotel Has Been.
Okay.
And then this is the one I thought was clever. Right. So I was like, all right, clearly this comes from an actual comic, right? We got to be able to track down what the original was. And it took managing to upgrade my pop-up blocker to just like God mode so I can actually use read comic online properly. But I finally did find the thing, and so that's essentially what we're here to talk about tonight. Turns out it comes from an old issue of, let's see, where'd my link go here? Did I accidentally get rid of it? Well, you've got it up.
Yeah, I've got it over here. So we'll go ahead and remove the memes, and we'll get on to the comics. I will actually go ahead and give me a second. I'm going to scroll over and show the front cover of this book. It's Archie's Girls, Betty and Veronica.
Yes.
Issue 235.
It turns out this is a really long-running series, especially for a main title. I was very surprised at how long this ran.
Well, and this is something that I don't know. I didn't look too close into the publication date information, but it says Fawcett on the cover. So I feel the need to look into it more, but I don't think I can. Because that looks like it's just an advert.
Well, I know this based on the image on the cover of the very first issue. It's got to go back like to early 60s at least.
Yeah. Well, in any case, so this, of course, is like all Archie comics, has got a whole bunch of stories in them. We are going to look at two of those stories to kind of get our grips around. I'm a liberated woman.
This was interesting. They always took. I've never seen this in an Archie piece before, where they have that little thumbnail that's advertising a later story.
Yeah, right on the front of it. So we're going to go ahead, and we may not go through every page. We're kind of talking a little bit about the story, kind of see where it comes on here. I'm going to move. Okay. I'm going to try to move my screen around on the back end. So in case you have any comments come up, I can go ahead and answer any questions or bring them up there. We'll try to do everything all at once. So that's what we're going to try for today. But so here we go. Betty says, boys are the bane of my existence. And Veronica says, mine too. I think, what's a bane anyway? And except for Archie. Oh, especially Archie. Oh, Archie's never a problem. She says, I could handle Archie and juggle 12 saucers at the same time if I could juggle saucers. So here it is. Betty says, watch this. I'll show you my problem. Yoo-hoo, Arch. Hey, Archie, darling, baby. What you say, Arch? And he doesn't hear because he's talking to Jughead.
This was such a well drawn gag here at the end. Uh-oh, you just went mute again.
I muted myself to cough.
Oh.
Hang on, I actually got to do it again. Ironic, since that's what's going on the screen.
That's exactly.
Right. So Veronica lets this tiny little cough out. Archie races to her. Are you okay? Let's get her home. Give her mouth to mouth. And here it is. Down, boy.
It's funny because I had a completely different idea of what the context of this meme would turn out to be. I was ready to bet money that Archie was going to end up being hypnotized somehow, thinking he was a dog.
See,
And he's
and
like
I thought it
annoying
was
her, and
and I thought it was going to be one of these female empowerment deals, right? The subservient man kind of idea. And you have that a little bit, but mostly because he's going entirely overboard. To answer Isaac Larkin's question, are they both dating him? Yes. Archie and Veronica, Betty and Veronica are both casually dating Archie. So he'll take each of them out, but none of them are going steady. So this is the idea is that they're in a more casual high school style relationship rather than planning to spend the rest of their life with anyone at this
a
point.
relationship that's been happening for 60 years.
Right. So it's more a matter of spending time together than it is a matter of making a family together kind of thing is the premise. So that's why there's the love triangle, and why it doesn't seem scandalous within its context is because it's all fairly innocent and casual.
Right.
Nobody's committing their life. Nobody's picking out China patterns, right? So that's how Betty and Veronica can still be best friends.
It would be funny to see something, even if it was just a single piece, that's like old Archie, and we jump into the future, and they are actually like 70 years old, and they're still, nobody's made a commitment.
Oh, that would be sad. That just made me sad.
Oh,
okay,
sorry.
Let's move on. So yes, they are both dating him, but you may, if you behave yourself, Archie, I may let you take me out tonight, she says, right? So she's trying to get him to calm down the whole business. And she says, oh, I can't. I'd love to, but I just can't. Maybe some other night. She says, why? Oh, it's because you're so delicate and sensitive, Angel Fluff. Wait, what are you talking about? Now, remember, so Betty is the girl next door. Veronica's the rich chick, right? That's the whole premise of this, right? Says, oh, there's this noisy, boisterous carnival in town with all the shouting and the screeching, with all sorts of raucous clamor that'll bruise those the delicate petal of my buttercup's ear. Oh, you're so considerate. And she's just...
It's at this point that I actually started to ask if he was somehow hypnotized, because he's acting like such a robot.
Oh, it's so wonderful, and I just love that, and just the fury on Veronica's face here is just so great.
And then, of course, we get to the butt of the joke.
So then here's the end. But it's the kind of thing old Betty loves. Want to go, Betty? Oh, count Betty in.
And then the best joke of probably the entire issue right here.
Yeah. Betty is the bane of my existence. Oh, mine too. What's a bane? So, yeah, I absolutely love that. So that's the context for this meme, right? And it's hilarious to me because all of the iterations of this art trend are missing that when we're actually looking at on the piece isn't some sort of domineering bringing Archie down sort of idea, but rather it's his overabundance of care and his appreciation for her of her resiliency that actually is in play. So he's going over the top trying to take care of her so much that he's not actually respecting her ability to handle anything. Which seems like a very high school thing to do. Mm-hmm. Is he a Batman villain? Maybe
a Batman villain. Oh boy!
Or it could be Veronica's supervillain origin story right here.
Well, okay. Sure. So if we're gonna bring up DC Comics, then I really want to mention one other thing that happens in this issue, and that is the ever infamous, but I never get tired of seeing them, Hostess Pie commercial.
Oh yeah, there's a great one. We'll go ahead and read through that one too. We'll read that through that one too.
Yeah.
But I guess the first thing I want to ask about here, since we're talking about digging out where the meme came from, or the down boy meme came from, um, uh, how do you think if I'm sure that nobody who's jumped on this artistic perspective or whatever you want to call it, this trend, took the time to dig out the old comic to look at. So, well, I guess what are your thoughts?
Well, I mean, I assume that the original seems to be the entire plot of Chainsaw Man. Now, that person may very well have known it, right?
Yeah, it could be.
After that, the only connection that we seem to have is that they were using the characters from Dogman, and so Dogman is in fact a dog, thus is appropriate for the ARF part for the
Mm.
dog, right? After that, the fact that everybody else just started doing it, I have who knows how these trends really get started. But like I said, once it is started, people like me say, "Ooh, I can jump in, and ride the coattails of this, and try to get views because of the hashtag."
Yeah. Well, and one of the things that I thought was yours, at least, was really funny because it ties into your little web comic.
Right. I used a
So,
cat instead and went Mew instead of ARF.
right. Which, by the way, Kitty's Day Out is available on Tapas. There's a link in the chat.
Oh,
So,
thank you. The comic
in case
thinks
you're
it's a
curious.
game.
Hello, Fizz. Welcome to the
Heyo.
show. So yeah, the other thing that I wanted to talk about in this same issue, actually, let me just go ahead and scroll up to it here. Um, there is one other really funny little story that is hinted into the front cover, right? It's Veronica in the Liberated Woman. So I wanted to talk about that one real quick too, because this is more of what I thought the story was going to be based on the memes, right?
Ah, right.
Um, Even though this did not take the twist that I had expected. So Veronica says, "I'll see you, Daddy. I'm going with Archie. Wait a minute. You want to tell me where you're going?" And she says, "I don't know. Maybe down for the malt shop. When can I expect you home? I don't know. We haven't gotten there yet." Right? Oh, by the way, if you were in Indiana in 1975, go check out Archie's Restaurant, now open on Broadway, Maryville, Indiana. So there you go.
What does that mean? That can't actually be like an Archie sponsored restaurant, can it?
I imagine it
Or did
probably
someone
was.
like contact them and say, "Hey, I've got a restaurant called Archie's"?
I don't know. I mean, the comics were going since the 30s. It's possible.
But would they
I
have
may
started their own restaurant chain?
could be. They have their
I
own
want to
rock
look into
band.
this now.
Maybe we can if you want to look it up while we're talking over the
Yeah,
story,
I'm
maybe
checking
we'll
it out
find
right
something.
now.
Who knows? Who knows what we'll discover? So
This will be interesting.
we have well then call your mother when you get there, blah blah blah. She says, "Oh, for goodness sakes, I'm not a little baby, I'm a grown woman. In fact, I'm a liberated woman, and I want all you male chauvinists to understand that. I'm quite capable of taking care of myself." Okay. Now she pushes Archie around and she says, "Look, Archie, I'll tell you one more time. You get it through the thick head of yours. I am no longer a little girl. I'm a liberated woman." And there we have the from the cover, that her outburst from the cover. "Aren't you going to get the door? You're a liberated woman. Open the door yourself. All right, fine." So he doesn't open the door for her. He doesn't. He lets the door close on her face at the at the malt shop. He doesn't split the ticket with her. He doesn't order for her. She does. He says, "Go and order for yourself." He doesn't pay for for her malt.
I did
And
think it was crazy that she's the rich girl, right? And he's driving around in this like 1920s car, and she's expecting him to pay for the both of them. Just like
yeah,
it's just
yeah,
an assumption, right?
yeah. Well, and I mean, it would be. I mean, that's the whole point about the. But in this very brief vignettes, we see Archie going his own way. You can't have both. can't be treated like a lady and still be liberated. That's the whole gag. And so then that liberated lady sure packs a wallop. So this is more of what I thought the meme was gonna, the meme was gonna come out of would be more like this, right? And when it actually like inverted my expectation reading the real comic, because it kind of it took a whole different twist on the whole ordeal of this servileness of Archie. It's not in the same kind of power dynamic. So that was
it's
really
an
funny.
interesting thing I've noticed that when Archie gets pushed too far, so often he doesn't like freak out at anybody. He gets incredibly sarcastic and like just devious beyond imagination, right?
Yeah, that makes it fun, I think, honestly. So, but yeah, I did really, really, really enjoy that there. So, now did you have the oh, that's the same one, right? Okay. So let me get the hostess thing ready to go so we can go ahead and take a look at that, because that was fun. Okay. Although I gotta say, I was surprised because I did not think it was a hostess ad when I first was flipping through the book. So here we go. Archie in the hold up. Okay, Spike, these two guys look loaded. Yeah, let's go. All right, you guys, hands them over. Oh no, just take my watch, take my money, but don't take my bags.
So I want to point out that right at this moment, I didn't realize that this was an ad. I thought this was just the next comic. I assumed they were pulling a Brer Rabbit on them.
Yeah.
Right? And then instead, like, oh no! I've been bamboozled again.
I didn't realize it was an ad till panel 4. There must be something really great in here. Yeah, those guys didn't want to give them up. Look, there's Hostess fruit pies. Apple, cherry, blueberry. Terrific, real fruit filling and light flaky crust. There they are, officer, those men. What for? For stealing Hostess fruit pies. Oh, we're innocent. Oh, look, Arch, they ate all the evidence. Well, we take them downstairs anyway. Yeah, maybe you can give them a stomach detector test. You mean a lie detector test, Jughead?
I don't know. With Jughead, I think it's 99% of the time the stomach is the.
I think that's true. He is in fact specifically talking about a stomach detector test.
Like I'm surprised they're not taking him in for murder already.
Yeah, it's pretty great. It's pretty great.
So. What was funny for me is that the very next story, of course, deals with Betty trying to get this kid to eat his food, and Jughead comes up along and is saying, "You got to sell it." And I was thinking,
there's just one page. We'll skip the one pager here, but yeah, just to kind of share this here. We won't go through the whole thing. It's Betty in the sot cell. Betty's is babysitting, and she's trying to convince. It's the inverse of that hostess ad story. So yeah, that is fun.
But I thought it was just funny because he's saying you got to sell it, and the whole time I was watching her fail to do this, and I was thinking, she should just do what the Hostess Pie people do, right? Create a world-ending scenario and have it someday somehow be saved by Hostess Fruit Pie.
That's great. That's great.
I don't know why. I just have such a love for that whole crazy thing that used to happen like that.
Yeah, for sure. It's interesting. I mean, like, it's weird. There are still ads in comics, but like none of them are as interesting as they used to be, right?
Really, you're still seeing stuff like that?
Not like that. I mean, just like regular ads, just like you'd see in any magazine, but nothing clever, right? So it's like I remember even. I was gonna say I remember in the 90s even they would have there was a whole series of comic drawn Three Musketeers ads, where there would be an archaeologist or different adventurers or scuba guys, and they'd be uncovering some lost artifact, and it would be a giant Three Musketeers bar, right? So you flip a page and you don't realize you're reading an ad, and you're just like, oh, I wonder how this archaeologist factors into the story with the Joker. Oh, it doesn't. I've been bamboozled by Three Musketeers.
I remember this one. I'm going to put it up here. Does anybody remember this crazy ad? And I put it up.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And what it reminds me of is, have you ever watched the show, Burns and Allen?
Mm-hmm.
Old 50s sitcom before they were doing just normal old commercials in between commercial breaks, where this show was sponsored by Carnation evaporated milk.
Yep.
And they would work it literally into the show, right? Where it's like suddenly the characters for the next 2.5 minutes would find some excuse to talk about Carnation evaporated milk and what you can do with it, right? But they were so obvious and unapologetic in the fact that they knew that you knew that this was the commercial portion of it, and it was like.
I was thinking, wasn't it Burns and Allen too, who was also sponsored by Chesterfield cigarettes?
Oh, I've never seen that one.
I was thinking that it was Burns and Allen. I might be remembering.
It's incredibly hard to find Burns and Allen stuff now. So I've, in a lifetime, I've seen maybe 4 or 5 episodes.
Yeah, well, and I might be thinking about a radio show too, but there was something that was like that. That was Chesterfield specifically,
right?
Because I remember, like Jack Benny used to do Lucky Strike cigarettes. The Jack Benny program was sponsored by Lucky Strike back in the day, but there was and so he actually would work Lucky Strike. Jack Benny would even work Lucky Strike into the the punchline of some of his routines.
Oh, and I'm not surprised. Of course, Jack Benny was like best friends with George Burns, and they were practically under all the same people. So yeah,
mm-hmm.
And I loved how they could just be so so cheesy in their like, yes, audience, this is totally the advertisement portion of the show. Program. Just sit back and enjoy it. Right?
Yep. Yeah, occasionally I have a podcaster in the modern world who does ad reads that are that kind of clever, that finds a way to relate whatever they're advertising to the news story that they're commenting on. Or
that, and YouTubers often will do some kind of skit or something. It's often really stupid, but still.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Isaac says, aren't your Kool-Aid comics you're collecting also a commercial ad? Kind of. I mean, that was definitely part of it.
Oh, right. That's a completely different concept.
Most of the Kool-Aid comics were comics that were not available for sale on shelves. So they were promotional items where you would collect your Kool-Aid points and mail away for them, more than they were just adverts per se. I believe the first 3 issues that Marvel published were available on shelves in some ways. And some of the Archie published ones were released as adverts in newspapers. And some were available directly. Some of the versions were available only directly from Kool-Aid. General Food time.
When you take your character, who's been used as an advertising mascot, and then give them a universe of their own to create some fiction out of. I guess that's more like the equivalent of when you make a cartoon to sell Transformers.
Yep.
Right?
I think so.
Rarely, of course, does something happen like Transformers where it gets so popular it ends up becoming its own IP with or without the toys. Right?
Yeah.
We end up with a lot of things like Superman and the Quick Bunny,
Right. Or even things like the idea of it in exclusion, right? There are lots of areas where you've got these kind of mascot characters that cross media, right? But it's not very common that you have them that end up standing alone wherever they're at, right?
Yeah.
And that's like my son, my youngest, finds the he's got the weirdest kick for that Pepsi Man character that they created, that Pepsi came up with.
Oh, the
And
video
was,
game, right?
yeah, they made a video game for him. It was an ad run that was like one, maybe two ads that were released in America, and it may not even been in the States. It may have been in Canada rather, but it didn't really catch a lot of purchase with the sample audiences and stuff over here. But it became a big thing in Japan for reasons. And they made a video game of this character, but it never transcended that, right? But you look at like,
and it's because it's obvious the whole time that you've paid money for this game, and all it is a giant advertisement for the thing.
But then you had like the Noid or the Cool Spot, 7-Up's Cool Spot, that ended up selling product outside of just being connected to the branding, right, and the advertising for it. And for a while, the Noid was friggin' everywhere. Domino's ad mascot, and then one day wasn't anymore. Same thing with like Cool Spot. You could buy toys in the store with Cool Spot. There was like several video games that got made, all that kind of stuff. And for a while, Cool Spot was a character in the zeitgeist rather than just being connected to the 7-Up product. But when it comes, but those are a little different than most of the Kool-Aid comics. Because like I said, the Kool-Aid comics were a secondary product that for people that were buying Kool-Aid first.
Right.
So. Isaac says Canada and other countries can't see these mascots. They can't advertise towards kids or to influence them. I wonder how long that has been a thing. So, but I don't know. So, or if there's any kind of other restrictions around all that, how that all shakes out. So, because I mean, G.I. Joes are mascots to sell G.I. Joe toys, and I'm sure that I've talked to Canadians who are aware of G.I. Joe. So maybe there's some sort of rule about that.
Well, now I don't know the last time I saw G.I. Joe's toys actually for sale.
Yeah.
Right?
That's
what I'm saying. That's another example of where like the IP itself became its own thing, and whether they sell toys or not, or video games or comics or whatever, we go after G.I. Joe for G.I. Joe.
Right. I am trying to think. I have seen them in the store in the last decade, but I'm not sure.
Like Kool-Aid Man never made, a AAA movie, right? It's like
right. Well, according to Hasbro Shop, you can buy G.I. Joe directly from them. Classified Series 6-inch action figures.
Okay.
So, got Xander. Wow. Okay. Anyway, we didn't hear it. People didn't tune in to listen to me scroll Hasbro's website.
Well, I did find an Archie's restaurant in Indiana. And it doesn't look anything particular. That's definitely not the Archie's or Archie logo.
Yeah, so is that today? Is it still called Archie's?
Yeah, this looks to be a modern. This is from their website.
Huh.
But I have no idea if that's the same Archie's, right? I mean, that's like one place in an entire state.
Right.
But that is about all I can find. So, if anybody is watching this from Indiana and you know of an Archie's restaurant, let us know. And then we'll have Rhys drive down there and tell us what it's like.
Yeah, because Indiana's just like across the street for me.
Probably closer to you than it is to me.
I don't know. I'll bet.
I'm in North Carolina.
Yeah. Oh, I know, but it might. I think you're underestimating exactly how far west I am. This is great. This is great radio right here. Okay, I know how to figure this out.
So Archie's, if you're listening, we just gave you free advertisement. So
here we go. So here's what we're going to do. We are going to go back to the thingy and figure out the address of this place.
Meanwhile, I will ask the chat, who is your favorite Archie character and why?
There we go. And maybe, who knows? Maybe they hate Archie. We'll find out, hopefully.
Now, if there's an actual place called Riverdale, that'd be amazing.
There's several places called Riverdale, I think.
Let's see if we can find one in Indiana. Riverdale. Let's see here. There is.
Well, here's the bummer. 790 Broadway in Maryville, Indiana is today an Advanced Auto Parts. I think.
This post only goes back to 2022.
Let's I'm going to go ahead and drop the little guy right here.
I've got this showing up on MapQuest. Let's see. Directions. I want to show me.
There's a place called Sharks across the street. Okay. Yeah, June 2022.
This is different. This is 104 North Street, LaPorte, Indiana.
Okay, so that's actually a different place.
We're just giving away free advertising to people tonight. Okay,
well,
I got a street view.
2009, it was still in advance. Okay, so that's that ticket there.
Here we go. Street view. Check it out.
Hang on, let me get back to it because I'm in a whole different window now.
Okay.
Archie's open 24 hours. Well, that Archie's sticker looks a lot more like the...
I was going to say, that I'm going back to this. Wow. Look at that. So at the moment, the one we're using here, the logo is in all caps. Let's see what it looks like in a more modern comic. See if it changes. Okay, not
Jughead
there.
was later made canonically asexual, which wasn't really a change. That's fair.
No. Oops. Yeah, let's see. Okay, I got the classic Archie logo up here. If I can get to it. There we go. And let's compare this. We got this up here. Oops, I'm in a different tab. There we go. So there's the classic or the modern, I think. Yeah. Well, no, that is an older one, I think. Either way, that is at least a logo. Don't know if it has changed. And then Here's theirs. It's definitely not the same. You can see the similarities, but
So here's a little road map. So for me to drive to Maryville, Indiana, which is south of Chicago, interestingly enough, if I were to take the most direct route, which would take me up to Alliance and across Nebraska on Highway 2, that would take me 14 hours and 13 minutes. It's 922
oh wow.
miles, right? So 922 miles. That's what it would take for me. Now, I don't know where in North Carolina you are, and I'm not going to ask you to dox your town, right?
But I will go ahead and Google this and find out.
I'll just go ahead and say North Carolina generically. And that's the Maryville. That's the one in the where there used to be an Archie's or whatever, the advert that was actually in the comic, right? But from somewhere in North Carolina, outside of Raleigh is where it picked randomly when I said North Carolina. It is 741 miles to Maryville. So you are closer than I am by about 200 miles, give or take.
Well, now I want to see about 104 North Street, LaPorte, Indiana.
Okay.
So let's use Google Maps here.
104.
That says 10 hours and 4 minutes.
So that's even closer.
And that's all the way to almost to the very top, left-hand corner of Indiana too. So you win.
Yeah. See, like I said, I figured you probably misunderstood exactly how far west we are here.
It is easy to forget that the states get bigger as you go out west.
Mm. It really is. It really is.
Not to mention mountains probably slow you down.
Well, hello, Abigail. Hello, Ethereal Dragon. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We're now in probably the least interesting part of the show. We're discussing
map questing. Man, where's Mrs. H? We need to give her to give us like an Archie pickle.
Oh, that'd be great. She's gotten so busy lately with other things that I feel guilty about asking her to swing by. But to explain the map questing for those who have just joined, let me go ahead and share. I'm going to share a screen here quick. There it is. In this issue of Archie's girlfriends, Betty and Veronica, whatever the book's called, it says here, new Archie's restaurant is now open. Visit 5790 Broadway, Maryville, Indiana. So we were discussing which one of us was closer to Maryville, Indiana, and it's not me.
So is this what you were saying is now an Advanced Auto Parts?
This is now an Advanced Auto Parts, yes.
I thought you were talking about the other one.
Okay. No. Don't go to 570 Broadway unless you need auto parts.
Yeah.
Or 5790 Broadway in Maryville, Indiana. You can get auto parts there. You will not be able to get yourself a milkshake or a burger or anything.
They do have oil. If you're
based. Yeah, if you need oil, that's fine.
Cook up some chicken and
Well, I wouldn't. However, Cartoonicus did find there is an Archie's restaurant elsewhere in Indiana.
Yeah.
Which was on the screen before. And it's a LaPorte, Indiana?
Yes. And I choose to believe that those guys right there are actually Archie and Jughead older. And you just disappeared. So I will sit here
Well,
and talk. Oh, go
why
ahead, Neil.
wouldn't it be? Why wouldn't it be? Yeah, I kicked myself for just a second. I had to blow the old allergy collector. So
Oh. So this is
it's
why I
that
hide behind an animated cartoon.
it's the time of year, ladies and gents, where my quad seasonal allergies get worse.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, we just had a mini blizzard roll through town last night, and it for at least a half an hour it was snowing and blowing and low visibility and all this kind of stuff. And then it must have about time I went to bed stopped snowing, and then most of the snow blew away by morning.
Oh.
So yeah. But apparently out east it got dumped on. And I noticed on when we were doing all of our map questing that apparently I-80, which is the main highway across Nebraska, apparently is closed down from the where the Panhandle ends all the way to Lincoln. There's no highway traffic out there, so they must have got really nailed.
Well, as usual, it missed me. We got nothing.
Well, you're far away from Nebraska.
Oh, you're saying this was just a local thing?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I mean, there was elsewhere too, but I don't know how big the storm was as a whole.
I'm usually used to these winter storms being like this, multi-state area thing.
Sometimes. But I don't know. I know that like I was supposed to be on a statewide conference call today, and it got canceled because several of our big offices, because I work for the state now, several of our bigger offices out east were closed down for power outages. So
right. So I'm noticing that this little, most likely singular restaurant out of the middle of nowhere is open 24 hours.
yes,
That is interesting.
yeah.
Jughead would love that.
Are there any pictures there of the inside?
Let's see here. Let me get back to it. Where am I?
Because you're on the map
Right,
quest,
so first
right?
of all, I want to take. No, this is Google Maps, so I get to take a whole look at what this place looks like. Just spying on these people here. Or more appropriately, Google is spying on these people here.
Google was spying on them.
Oh, geez. We got a completely different logo on the sign than they do on the restaurant. So let's see here. Let's go back. And any other pictures?
104 North Street.
Is that the only picture? I think that's the only other picture. Do they have a website? No, I don't think so. No, not much. Although over here there is an AutoZone, so
That's amazing.
That's
amazing. Well, Isaac asks, how is the new job going? I am sort of enjoying it. It is a very big shift in my life. To the point where I'm done at work in the evenings when I come home, and I don't know how to adjust to that. So it's first time in 20 years I've had a job that ended when the day ended, where I didn't have to plan my next day or figure anything else of myself out.
Nice.
Where I wasn't on call, so that's a little different. I am trying to figure out what that means as far as reorganizing my after work time to be productive, and so far I'm not. Which is why a little light show today. So I didn't think we'd even get an hour of conversation out of stuff. Am I worried about downsizing since I am new? No. I am not. The state of Nebraska is not having the same in our department is not having the same kind of issues that other government agencies are having because of how we fund stuff at the state level. And so that hasn't been an issue in the same way. So, yeah, that's kind of where things are at with that. So, yeah, there is the possibility in the next 5 years that may be some of a factor, because they are looking at doing more automations with our computer systems, and a lot of what we do are the things that computers aren't good at figuring out, and so that's a factor in that. But I don't see that happening anytime soon, because our database was first built in the 90s and has been daisy chained with other databases together for several decades. So there's a lot of human error that goes into the play there. So there's a lot of there's a lot of need for humans to sort out the data. So yeah. So that's the story with that part. So I am hoping, and I might end up doing the show next week. I need to reach out to other folks and kind of find out about this. Because I think we'll either look at Wonder Woman again next week, or I'm going to do another Ideal Comics stream and kind of ask people that have read our stuff, what do you want me to prioritize as far as putting together things? I know the metal would say Buckskin Boone, and I've got a story in the can, not in the can, it's in the to-do pile, a Boone story, but it's one of the things I want to knock out first. But yeah. Oh, but that's that. I think we're gonna be doing that one of these days. So but yeah. So let me ask you, Cartoonicus, since we talked about earlier, and like I said, up in the chat, there is a link to Cartoonicus's webcomic, Kitty's Day Out, advertised there on his front there. What have you been working on? I mean, you've been working on Kitty's Day Out. What is kind of the reactions you've been getting to that comic? Have people been reading?
Starting to get a few different subscribers. That's nice. More or faster than I thought, at least. I think it's only like 16 or something, but the last few days have had an unusual amount of activity. I just released Phase 4 and has more actual gameplay than ever before. I'm now advertising this whole thing as the comic that thinks it's a game.
That's a fun title. That's a fun thing. I have to confess that I have not taken the chance to go past the first chapter. So,
well, that's why we're going to have a CCC at one point.
Yeah, we do definitely need to do that.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure, because our normal CCC, what we'll do is we'll have everybody go through 2 projects and then kind of talk back and forth on it. But given the gameplay nature of your thing, I kind of want to spend some time myself going through it and seeing if maybe we want to change our formula up.
I'm glad you said it and not me. Because I was doing a test run the other night, and yeah, it's just such a different type of game that I am worried that half of a stream would not be enough to properly showcase this.
Yeah.
So,
and also we don't want to just like play through it live either. I want to have some chance for people to dig in and play around with the thing a little, and commit to doing that, and then have it as then have like a showcase for it. Just because you've got some connected ideas, some bigger themes, some nonlinear aspects to it. And if we're going to give it a really thorough discussion, I think we need to have some play on it. And that's kind of why I haven't suggested to anyone yet, because I just based on the first chapter, there's I know that there's some more I want to investigate, so we kind of can guide our discussion when we get to that point.
Well, and here's the other thing is that every time I do an update, I am obviously adding stuff to, extend the story a little more. But I'm also often going back into previous sections and adding extra gameplay within there, as well as literally going back and adding either things that I didn't have time to create or have thought of since, and I am reinserting all kinds of extra hidden clues and stuff for the mystery that wasn't there before. So you always have a reason to go back and check it out again.
Oh, good gravy. So is this going to be your Leaves of Grass where you're never finished?
No, because there is definitely an end, to the story. But I'm basically, I mean, every time I do a release, I've been joking by putting up literally a list of patch notes, calling it version 1.3.1, and
That's
so
fun.
once it is finally done, I'll probably have to do one kind of like 2.0 version where I spruce everything up. And then of course you got to have your DLC a few months later after that too.
Yeah. So here's a question on that. Is it even possible in this framework for you to have a definitive printed version of this product? Or is this going to something like
I've
only
been thinking about what
as
that
a web
would
comic?
look like, and I think maybe it would be nice. Especially if it would be the kind of thing, because we've got things like the magnifying glass and other tools that you can use to go look for it would be cool, I think, to literally have this thing in your hand and actually be skimming over it. So
Yeah, that could definitely be a fun experience.
there would just have to be certain things that would be very differently formatted, and I'd have to get really pretty clever about it.
Yep. Also, the possibility that excuse me. Because I mean, if you could incorporate it into a printed edition, the way the story works, the stuff that I'm like in the first chapter stuff that I went through, I can definitely see there being a market in the like Scholastic Book Fair kind of stuff,
Right. Yeah.
for something like that. I don't know
Well, and of
that.
course, most of this mainly just takes off the classic old build your own adventure style of
Right.
writing. And so the fact that those came long before I did, right? Kind of just redoing what has been done in the past anyway, just with a different facade.
Yeah. So, I like I said, I'm definitely excited to come up with, and once again, I'll drop the link in the chat to feature that sooner rather than later. So, but it probably will be April.
Oh, take your time. I knew at the very least I needed to get past the last phase so that I had full gameplay in both the first and third acts. But other than that, it's just like whenever it happens, If I happen to be done with it, then cool. If not, then there's that much more for people to look forward to.
Okay. Well, that sounds good. Well, I think we've just met just about an hour, which is a little short, but I'm
Archie comics are short.
What?
Archie comics are short.
Archie comics are short. That's our excuse. It's all part of the theme. It's all part, ladies and gentlemen. It's all part of the theme. So until next time, we will either be discussing Ideal Comics or we'll be discussing Wonder Woman. I'm not sure which. So we'll figure that out and hopefully let people know ahead of time. We'll just have to play that by ear. And I guess that's the story. Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate it very much. Get out there, check out Kitty's Day Out. I hope to have more Ideal projects this weekend. So we'll see how that works out. But until next time, get out there and read some comics, and we'll catch you all down the road. Bye.